Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. If you're new here, obviously you have an interest in mental health and personal development. So welcome. We're happy to have all the new people here. And if you're an OG or a longtime listener, welcome back. We love you guys and love when you share these episodes and all the good things that you're saying. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. So today we're talking about, I'm trying to think of, it's a conversation I had this week with a client, and it's a conversation that I have had over the years with so many people in my practice, people who have come back to therapy. But this is somebody who is doing very well. I've seen her for years now, so I don't see her every week. And it's funny. I don't know. It just seems to go in waves. I had it also with another client last week who I've been seeing for years. And sometimes I really think, like, what is going on with energy, the universe, like what is happening? Because we all seem to be a little bit of these crises at the same time, it seems. But there are people who come to me and they say, you know what, Anna, I've been working on this with you for years. I've done, I feel like I'm doing really well. And then I just slid back like 10 steps back last week and I'm really struggling again. And I see this quite a bit with anxiety. And so I wanted to do an episode on this because I should call it, the tune-up episode. But really, this is about why people think they should be, or air quote, over it by now. I've done the work. Why am I not over it by now? And so I want to talk with all of you about conversations that I have with my clients, because I think this is a really, really common headspace that we get into mentally and emotionally in our minds, because we struggle with stuff in life and we're like, no, damn it, I've done that work. Why am I dealing with this again?
Yeah.
Why am I back here again in this relationship?
So is it perceived backsliding or is it backsliding?
It's both.
It's both.
They do backslide.
Okay.
Because of what's going on in their life. Yeah, I perceived, it's their experience. So it's their experience.
Okay.
They feel like they know, and I know this goes on in my own life. It's like, I know how to deal with this. I know the tools. I've been taught the skills. Like, why am I here again? Like me, like with my catastrophizing, and there are times when I like freak out about something, and you'll say to me, Anna, you're like, it's a thought distortion. You're catastrophizing.
Yeah.
I'm like,
well, that's perceived backsliding, right? Like you feel like, oh, I'm not going to be able to handle this. But then you're like, oh, wait, but I've done
why
this.
I'm like, oh my gosh, it's all going to shit. It's all going. And you're like, you said that to me on a walk months ago. You're like, you're catastrophizing. It's not all that. I'm like, yeah, but to me it is. Yeah. So, but it did help for you to say that to me, because I'm like, oh yeah, I'm so in my own head. It was so in my own anxiety, because I deal with anxiety.
Yeah.
That I needed you to, that quickly kind of pulled me out. I was like, oh yeah, I am catastrophizing. Okay. But it's really common. So for some people, it's like this, the recurrent, I think, sentence that we say to ourselves is, why am I back here again? Why am I dealing with this again? Right. And for me and for the clients that I'm talking about right now, it's anxiety. But for others, it's self-doubt. I've worked on my confidence. Why am I dealing with the self-doubt again? It can be, overthinking. It's just that same insecurity that you've dealt with for years, and you feel like you've developed a sense of mastery over it. And then you find, oh, okay, well, maybe I don't have mastery, because here I am. It's this, and what happens is we spiral because we get all up in our head that I thought I knew this. Oh, maybe I don't really know it. Here we go down the spiral in our heads, right? And I think it leads people to think to themselves like, okay, is there something wrong with me?
Yeah.
What is wrong with me? Because, everything I've said, like, I thought I was past this. And we think that I will never deal with it. Not that I won't ever deal with it again, but I'll never deal with it, i.e., in this case, anxiety, to the same extent that I dealt with it 4 years ago before I met you, Anna. And we did therapy, and you coached me up on anxiety. Why in 2026, darn it, am I here again?
Yeah.
I thought I knew. You taught me. I do know. I'm like, no. Okay. Let's back it up a little bit, and there's a lot of judgment that goes along with it. And there's some shame for people and embarrassment that I'm dealing with this again.
Yeah.
There's no room for judgment. There's no room for shame. Welcome to the world.
Yeah.
Welcome to all of us, right?
So I think it could be I mean, it could be that you have arrived back at a situation that you've had to deal with in the past, and that situation came up again or similar, right? Maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's something at work that it feels like the same thing repeats itself. So there's that, and it also could be that you've backslid into having to pull these new skills out, which you didn't know before.
Yeah.
Right. So you've backslid into like, oh, shoot. But then you're like, oh, wait, I've been working on this for the last 9 months.
Well,
I'm going to be able to pull these skills out now because I know them.
you don't, that's the thing. It was interesting because that's this one client said to me. She said, I know the skills. You taught me the skills. She goes, but in the moment, she's so cute. She's like, I thought, what would Anna tell me? She's like, and I thought of it for like 5 seconds and I went right back to my anxiety spiral.
Really?
Yeah. And that's what happens. And
Yeah.
that's why I always say, you have to put in the reps. You got to put in the reps and practice, because her story is a very common story. It's a story of, most of us. I mean, I needed on that walk that morning when I was catastrophizing, I kind of, and thankfully I was speaking my thoughts I was like lamenting all of my worries to you, and you sort of pulled me out of it. She didn't have that in that moment. She was in a public setting and she didn't have that. And she's like, what would Anna do? She's like, what would she tell me to do right now? She's like, yeah, I thought of it for seriously, Anna, 5 seconds. And I went right back to it.
Yeah.
And so that's where, okay, that's okay. And I said to her, welcome to the human condition. I mean, okay, don't judge yourself. For some reason in that moment, it was difficult for you to pull out the skills that
Yeah.
and that's all right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for, is to help
Right.
get you back on track.
Right.
I think for many of us, and I'm going to say what I think many, many people over the years have come back to me and said without saying is there's this fantasy of having arrived. Like there's this fantasy that if I've been in therapy or you have coached me up on something, you've taught me something in coaching and you've coached me up, then in my business or in my personal life, with my personal development, that I won't go back there. And that is a big, and I'm naming and I'm saying out loud what I think a lot of us think, but we don't say. And when I was getting ready for this episode, I'm like, oh, I think that's what it is. It's the fantasy of arriving. I've arrived. I know it now. I've learned it. I've had the aha moments.
Yeah.
I've had the revelation on my own or in a podcast or with, my coach. And then here it is a year later. And it's like, shit, I react. She tells me to respond, not react. That's me. Like, that's what I tell clients. She always tells me to, respond, to react. And I totally reacted. Went off on my wife. I went off on my husband. I went off on the kids.
Yeah.
And I just completely was bristling at my colleague. And now I know they're mad at me because I was snappy with them in the staff meeting,
Yeah.
And I know not to do that. I've worked on this and they did it again.
Yeah.
And then we get all judgy of ourselves because it's like, well, I know better. Well, of course. Yeah, we all do know better, but what we know is not how we always behave. Right.
Well, you're talking about habits, right? Like if you've got years of habit,
we think we'll graduate. Like we graduate from high school, graduate from college. You'll graduate and you'll never go back to high school. You'll never be a senior and you'll never be a sophomore again.
Right.
You'll never be a junior in college again.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you go through chronologically, you think of something that's you could touch. It's sort of pragmatic in a way, like you think about schooling. We're talking about the mind. We're talking about the emotions. We're talking about relationships in our lives. The mind is a much, much harder school to be in, so to speak.
Yeah.
Where you keep having to go back to your sophomore year and relearn something. Nope. I know you know it. Okay, here. Pull it. Let's do some math problems again.
Yeah.
You got to do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. We don't want to do that. We're like, I don't want to go back. I'm not going back to sophomore year of high school. Hell no. Not doing that.
Well, I mean,
we got to do that mentally and emotionally.
Should it be that way, or should it be that we stress more the reason?
Should on yourself, Tim. Should it be that way? It is that way.
Well, it is that way, and maybe it shouldn't be. Maybe it should be that we stress more like the why. Why are you doing this versus the what? Like this is the skill, and we're repeating over and again. Let me give you a swimming example.
Yeah.
Right. So if I have a swimmer who is doing some part of their swim stroke and it's causing them to be inefficient in the water, right? And I tell them, oh my gosh, I can say this two ways. You don't drop your elbow anymore. I want you to not drop. You have to focus on keeping your elbow up. And that's all I say. And they'll be like, okay, keep my elbow up. But if I say, when you drop your elbow, it causes your whole arm to sink, which reduces the amount of
Causes
water you can
drag.
pull,
Right.
right? And that makes you a slower swimmer. And that makes you more tired because you have to work harder. In their mind, they got to start to connect the dots like, oh, I get it. So when I drop my elbow, all of these other things are going to happen, right? That I think if you focus on the why more than the what, no? I mean, even what you're talking about in the mind, like you're talking about mental skills and like, okay, these are the skills you need to do and work on, and but
You
this is why you need to
Well,
do
for
it.
the swimming, for you, for that, because I have been that person swimming and have had
Yeah,
the exact same thing said to me. Number one, it's hard to visualize what the coach on the deck, sitting on the pool deck, is saying to you. You're like, "What
sure.
do you mean drop your elbow?" You don't understand it until you see a visual of it. You get a video of it, and then you have to put in the reps and do it over and over and over again. And it feels really weird to keep doing it over and over again because you may say to me, "That looks good. That looks better." Did you feel that? Like, no, not really. Did you feel you look like you're more efficient, you're smooth, whatever it is that you, a swim coach, or any of my former coaches would say to me.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah, maybe after like the 100th time or like the third time back after in the pool, and I'm really, really working on my stroke, do I start to notice like, oh, that does actually feel better. It is the same with the mental and the psychological skills of life. You got to keep putting in the
sure.
reps. But the
Yeah,
problem is when I'm alone in the pool swimming, 6 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, just because I have to, you have to swim so many times a week. What happens? Anna goes back to her default. Anna goes back to swimming. She drops her elbow because since I was 7 years old on swim team, I didn't learn properly, and I just go back to swimming, which is my default. That's what's so hard is, I know like, oh, I do notice I'm dropping my elbow.
yeah,
And the same thing, like you're 3 years out of having been coached, or you're years out of, let's say, therapy, or even for some people it's months, and you're doing well, and you're like, oh, I was in a situation, a public setting situation. I felt frustrated with somebody, and I didn't handle it properly. I know I didn't handle it because I kinda, like, was snippy at the person,
yeah,
and then I got all up in my head, and the whole thing was a big anxiety bomb for this individual. It's like, "Oh, but now it's been this many months or years out of therapy, or this person or Anna having coached me, and I went right back to everything that I knew not to do." It is the same thing. You gotta just keep practicing, practicing, practicing.
yeah. And to your point, like you want the person to have your voice in their head, right? Like you've stressed so many times, like why this is going to be a challenge, right? So that when they get into that scenario, they recognize that this is that moment, and then they're like, "Oh, but Anna would say, what would
Yeah.
Anna say, right?"
Yeah, yeah.
Like so, then that voice is in their head from a point of view of like, well, if you decide to do this, most likely this is going to happen. But if you do this, this will happen, which is the preferred outcome, right?
And I think that for many people who are in situations like this, it's like, well, and so with this person, actually, it's so interesting. It was two clients I don't see regularly anymore came back last week to talk about their anxiety. Just like, hey, can I get in a session with you? And it was, okay, what's going on? Like, we worked on this. I'm like, yeah, yeah, you're doing really well. How are you? What's going on? Well, I'll tell you, I don't know why this happened, but
Mm,
I am not doing well. I had a panic attack in, this, getting in the hair salon, which I love my person. I had I was like totally full of anxiety, and I love seeing her, and I love getting my hair done, a blowout, blah, blah, blah. And I had a panic attack. And, this other person's like, I was in this public setting. I do very well. I'm a very outgoing person. This person's great social skills, very extroverted. That's where this person shines actually, and really was full of anxiety, like sweating. She had a suit on, sweating, like she's, ugh.
mm,
And she's like, I don't know what it was. Well, we dig into it. I dig into it with them. There is a reason. So this is what I think when we slow down and we really look at ourselves and really look at what's going on in our lives, this is what was happening with each of them is a little different. But so I'm just going to speak in generalities for both of these people. Work was very stressful. So we get into it. Well, yeah, I am being pulled in every direction. I'm like an octopus at work. I'm trying to please my bosses because I just need to please them because they're very, very demanding people. So I'm very stressed out. That has been unusual. I haven't been in this situation at work for years. It hasn't been like this, but it is crazy busy right now. And I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting. It's June." She's like, "I know. This is like our slow summer season, but it is insane right now." That's something that she didn't expect and has been completely overwhelmed by. Just competing demands. The other person was the same. Like, it's interesting. It's like work does affect us, and then you've got, like, something going on with your kid who's really having difficulty being transitioning from the end of the school year to summer camps and doesn't do as well with that. And this mom, she knew it, and at the same time, it's the same time that she's getting hit with, and this is another person who's crazy insane with work. And it's like, I need to be able to just drop him off and go to work. But instead, I have to park the car, get out. I have to like, he's holding onto my legs. I know you know
I
this.
see it
I know. And
every
it's
day.
like, I have to be at work,
Yeah.
but I want to be there for him.
Yeah.
It's like just one more thing that could put you over the edge, and maybe like you just you're considering putting your mom into an assisted living and mom doesn't want to go and she's dealing with that. Like that is a lot right now for this person.
Yeah.
It is a lot. And they haven't been going through anything like this for the past year or two. Things have been pretty smooth. So then when we go to talk about it, it's like, oh, I'm like, do you not see? Listen, all that you just said to me. Of course there's anxiety and
Yeah.
don't be embarrassed and don't judge yourself.
Yeah.
It's okay. And the other client said, yeah, well, I thought about, like I told you earlier, like I thought about what you would have done, but that came in my head and went right back out. And I was like, I'm stressed out, and I always say, and those who have worked with me know this, I've been saying this for 30 years. You need a tune up. You need a tune up. We all
Yeah.
need tune ups. We take our car in for a tune up.
Right.
I go back to therapy. I go back to my coaches because I need tune ups.
Right.
You need a tune up.
Right.
It's okay.
Yeah. I mean, life in general is unpredictable, right? Like,
Yeah.
like if we approached it that way, if like that was the anticipation, I think maybe we would see our path clearer. Expect the unexpected, right? Everybody says
Yeah.
that. Like that's not like unusual. That's the norm. So if you go through life thinking like, get ready because there's curveballs coming at you all the time, you're ready to go, right?
Yeah.
Inside yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that there's a problem with also how we all measure growth. I think, first of all, we're all very hard on ourselves, too hard on ourselves. I think I'm going to say what I've just noticed over the years. I think that people think that if they work on their triggers, that they will have no anxiety.
Mm.
People think if they work on their stress, that they will have no reaction in the future going forward to what life throws at them, the curveballs that life has thrown at them. I think people think if they work on conflict and and they get better with conflict resolution, they work on conflict with their boss or their partner, their kids, whoever it might be, their neighbor, that they will no longer have an emotional response, that they will respond and be very calm and cool and collected.
Right.
Well, right. But that's not growth.
Well,
That's
that's
actually
also
not
real.
It's not real. And I want to say this,
Yeah.
it's actually not growth on your part. That's emotional perfection. And none of us as perfect individuals. I mean, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. Emotional perfection is not a thing. I mean, real growth looks more like you've worked, your triggers, you've worked on your triggers, you still have anxiety, and now you have awareness that this is anxiety and how it's showing up in your body, what's happening in your mind. And you go to the skills. You go to the skills that you've learned. And then you're like, okay, I did okay with that. I used some of the skills that in this case Anna taught me. And then you go into recovery. It wasn't perfect. It was messy. It's kind of all over the place. But you worked on it. Like, I got anxious. I saw my triggers. Okay, this is anxiety. I see what's going on here. I'm using some of the skills that I've learned. Okay. And okay, I'll get through this. and I'm through it. I'm past it. That's emotional growth, right? We're not ever talking about perfection. So you notice something inside of you. It's the noticing. The anxiety still showed up. The difference is what happened next. You noticed it faster. You questioned it sooner. And then you recovered more quickly. You didn't make life altering decisions from it, right? You didn't completely believe every thought that it produced in you. That's growth. You decided you decided to take action in your cognition and you thought differently. And that's massive change. You didn't go back to where you were 5 years ago. You did it different. I'm not gonna believe that automatic thought that has just come up for me. Nope, not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time right now. I'm kind of believing some of it, but I'm not gonna believe all of it.
Yeah.
That's change,
Yeah. Makes
right? And,
sense.
and some of this is cognitive therapy. So imagine you've been training, I'm going to give you an analogy to the gym because we love using sport and gym and working out as an analogy. Imagine you've been in the gym, you've been training for years. Whatever it is, you show up to the gym, you go 5 mornings a week, you go to your body pump class, you do some running on the treadmill, whatever it is you do, you strength train, and you've gotten really good at it. And you got really good body comp. You've worked really worked on recomposition of your body, and you've got some muscle, and you feel good. You've worked hard at it, and you get sick.
Mm.
You get whatever. Maybe you get sick. You got a cold. You get the flu, and you okay. Let's say you get the flu, and you have to take like 2 weeks off. Like you're sick, influenza. Like I would never wish on anybody, but you got something. And then you come back, it's been 2 weeks, maybe it's been 2.5 weeks. You come back to the gym and, you know, let's say you're strength training and the weights you were lifting 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks ago feel heavier. Like, oh my gosh. We
Yeah.
know that feeling. We've all been there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So do you say to yourself, I guess all my training was completely pointless? Do you say all that I have been doing over the past 2 years is out the window? Well, this is all pointless because look, I can't lift these 30-pound weights. Of course not. You don't do that. I don't do that. You understand that strength is not a permanent state, right? It's something you continue to practice over time. Emotion it's so emotional resilience is really the same way. It's it's not a test. Life is not a test. The life, like our minds, our physical bodies, it's not a test that you pass one time in your life. It's just this ongoing practice.
Yeah.
Like I said, yoga is a practice. Meditation is a practice. Meditation is something you have to keep working at. You
Sure.
move away from it, you will get away from it. Then you got to go back to it. You got to start over. I get away from meditation, then I go back to a 10-minute practice. And pretty quickly, I can get back into doing 20 minutes. And it's like, well, it's been 1 minute. But I get away from it and I don't go back just to 20 minutes because my ADHD hyper mind is like, oh, I got to do this. I got to do that. And I'm like, oh, this is so hard. I can't do 20 minutes. I've been away for a while. I can't.
Yeah.
So I go back to 5 or 10 because I will be all about, my brain is like, we are somewhere else. That's a practice to get my mind really back to no, pay attention, be here, be now in this moment now. But that's hard work.
Super hard work. I think the frustration for most people, whether it's you're talking about your scenario of being in the gym or you're talking about mental skills, it's like, why does it seem like it goes away quicker than the time spent to make it better?
Yeah.
Right? Like, why is that? I think that's the frustration. People are like, well, I spend so much time doing this, working on this skill,
Right.
whatever it is,
Right.
a lot of
It's a
time.
really good point.
And then I air quotes go away from it. I get sick, I get injured, I get whatever it is, I get forgetful.
Right.
And it seems like it all slips away so fast. And then I gotta start, it's like air quotes, start over. You're not really starting over, but it feels
Right.
like it, right?
Okay, really good point. I'm glad you're bringing it up. Before I answer that question and get into it, I want to encourage all of you to please reach out to me if you're interested in group coaching. I have a new cohort starting in July, so that's going to be all about emotion regulation, how we really nervous system regulation, emotional regulation, quieting the noise in your mind. So we are going to really do a deep dive into that. So email me hello at Anna Markeline. You just say interested, quiet the noise, just let me know. Just say group coaching and I'll, get you on the waiting list to get you and give you more information about the group coaching program that's starting in July. Okay. And please don't forget to rate and review the podcast. All right. Makes all the difference in the world. And thank you everybody, like I said in the beginning, for sharing this podcast with people. And as always, if you want to work with me one-on-one, also email me and let's get on a discovery call and let's see if I'm a good fit for you. Okay. So I have a couple slots open. All right. So let me answer that question, because I think that we do this as people. We are so hard on ourselves. And the okay, so I said this to this client this past week. This is somebody who worked with me years ago, like a few years ago.
Yeah.
And we worked together for years and really, really got this person to a place of managing their anxiety. And they're doing very well. They stopped therapy. The other person was a coaching client who I wasn't coaching her anymore. And they came back for very different reasons. And they were so hard on themselves for the situation they found themselves in, having the panic attack and really having a week of anxiety. The other person both of them, it was anxiety. And one was a relationship issue as well. And why have I backslid? Why have I backslid? And I have to remind them, hello, where have you been for the past 2 years? I haven't seen you. And they had said to me, no, I've been doing well. We don't remember that. We don't remember that it's been 2 years that I've been like wishing you well in my mind. I don't see you anymore.
Yeah.
Because you graduated, because you were doing so well. We ended your therapy. Both of us, like, I'm good. And yeah, I know you're good. The point isn't to keep you here forever.
Right.
Go live your life. Take the skills. Go do it. The coaching client, go. I've taught you these. I've coached you up on this situation in your life. Go do it. Anxiety was a part of it for them. They've done very well at work.
Yeah.
And we oh my God, I'm so embarrassed to tell you this. I'm so embarrassed. I'm back here and I'm happy to see you, Anna, but I don't really want to be here right now because, I don't want to tell you this, that I've backslid. I'm like, no, first of all, no, there's no room for judgment here. You're judging you. And maybe we need to unpack a little bit about why you're so judgmental of yourself.
Sure. That's a good point.
Yeah. And that you are your own worst enemy right now, ripping on yourself, and it's the glass half empty versus the glass half full. The glass was more than half full. If for both of them, it was 3/4 full. Your life, what you have done, the work you have taken from us together and implemented in your life is amazing.
Yeah.
And you're having a week or two that's been really rough for you because now that we've unpacked, you got a lot of triggers here. And I think we don't remember all the work we have done. I don't think we're so hard on ourselves. We don't remember all the good stuff that has been going well. And, you had a lot of curveballs thrown at you the past couple of years, and you're misremembering or you're not remembering
Right.
all the ways that you have coped and the way you have brought in your skills over the years, the mental skills that I've taught you. Like, oh yeah, you're right. And we do that. I do that too.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. I think so. The visual for me is like, all right, you've got that old fashioned scale, right? Where you put something on this side and then you put something else on this side. If you have all of these good moments, successful moments, those are that makes the scale go this way in the favor of that. And then you have one slip up and you put that on the scale, it doesn't even move it.
Right.
Right? Like you're still way ahead in the positive.
We laser beam onto the negative. We laser beam onto the screw up. And we don't remember, it's a drop in the water. It's a drop.
Yeah, it's a drop.
Think about, you've got the whole rest of the bucket there. Look at all the rest of the water, but you're focusing on when that pedal dropped.
Yeah.
And the ripple effect. The ripple effect is you in your head. The ripple affects every aspect of your life. Well, I suck at relationships and maybe I'm not doing that as well. Not everybody does this, but that's catastrophizing. That will do.
Yeah.
Right?
And maybe that's the point. Maybe the point is, as a coach, you've got your type of clients and others have their types of clients. Maybe the focus is on like celebrate all of these successful moments, right?
Yes.
Anticipate that there's going to be a step, like it's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. There'll always be a step back, whatever that means for somebody. but it's just a little bit, right? It's small in comparison to everything else,
Mhm.
right? Anticipate it coming and be okay with it, right? It's a learning moment for you,
Yes.
and then off you go again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think the next piece of this discussion, I can't talk about this without bringing up social media. I think social media has made this worse for a lot of people. I think that, when we're constantly exposed to messages about healing and growth and transformation and mindset, and I talk about these things, and optimization, although I've been critical of optimization recently on social media. Sometimes I think, well, sometimes, a lot of the time, I think the unspoken message that we're getting, and I don't think we realize subliminally it's coming in, is that if you're doing the work correctly, eventually you'll stop struggling or you'll never spiral again. That's the message we're getting when we're watching all of these wellness gurus and people in psychology, my field, or even just one of the influencers. Maybe there's an influencer who you follow her or him for their fitness, you follow them, whatever, or you follow them for the life that they have that you wish you had. And they talk about like optimization and how, they're wearing their data watch or the green tea that they're drinking in the morning or the green juice and whatever it is, like their high protein. And you're watching them in their, cute little outfit as a woman, their workout clothes, their great body, and their beautiful, up 2026 kitchen, and you want that you're attracted to them and you're like looking at them and you are affected by what they're telling you about how they seem to have the air quote perfect life. And you may think to yourself, what are they doing and how are they doing it? And I'm not there. I don't have that. I don't have all those things. And I know that we all know those are highlight reels and they probably did how many takes and they have full glam makeup on, some of them, not all of them. But they have a great figure or a great body and they seem to have this amazing partner in their life. Like all the things that we remember, it's the fantasy. They're showing you the fantasy. And, some of them have talked about their anxiety and how they don't deal with it anymore. And you're like, well, I do.
Yeah.
And I do get depressed. There are days I can barely get out of bed. If it wasn't for my kids, I wouldn't be getting out of bed. You know what I mean? And I'm not that person that had talks about depression. That's why I started following him or her. And now look how great they are. And I'm not there. Why am I not there? And I've done the work. I've been in therapy. I've done this. It's really like talk about compare and despair, which is
Yeah.
another, it's the cognitive behavioral therapy world. Talk about comparing. We compare and we despair about our lives. We despair that we're not like that. I'll never have that. And I think social media has made it so difficult for us. Like I ought to be not struggling right now, right? But that's not what emotional health really looks like. It's not what it looks like at all. Emotionally healthy people still get anxious, overwhelmed, right? Insecure, triggered, discouraged. Of course, we still get all of these things. The difference is that the people who've really done this work, they don't stay there very long. The What my former clients did was they're like, okay, this is a big one. I'm really having kind of spiraling this week. It's not just one day, it's 2 or 3 or 4 days. I'm calling Anna. And that's
Mm.
what they did. So, I'm texting her, hey, do you have time available to see me? And they're getting in. They're on a Zoom, we're on a Zoom session. They're doing a one-off coaching consultation and I'm helping them hit the reset button. They don't need to be coming back. They don't need weekly. This one person doesn't need weekly therapy. The other person doesn't need to come back to weekly coaching. They just needed a tune up,
Yeah. Like
and
a reality check
we're
real
there
quick.
to help. Yeah. And so what happens is they don't
Hmm.
stay there because they've unpacked what was going on, which they didn't realize. And sometimes we need the help of other people. We all need each other. I tell you all the time, I wouldn't be where I am professionally and personally in my life if I had not done the work in therapy and I have not had amazing coaches.
Yeah.
They've gotten me to where I am. I think about my therapist and my coaches. I think about all the skills that I have today and all my habits in my life, and I'm so thankful for them. They taught me everything that I do. Really. That's really the truth when it comes to my work and how I work. And in many ways, the way I think is because it's a mix of both my therapists and my coaches. My coaches have gotten on my butt and made me move ahead.
Yeah.
And it is why I
As
am
they
where I am.
should. I mean,
Yeah.
that's their
Right.
function.
So they just needed a tune up. So
Yeah.
that's important. So, they just don't stay in that anxiety spiral as long. They know what they need. Sometimes most people can get out of it on their own. These two individuals were, okay, I'm going deep here. I'm spiraling down. I'm going to call Anna. I'm going to text her, get on a call, do a session, and then we're good. They're good. I'm like, oh, you know where I am. My door's open. You call me if you need me again.
Right.
And I don't expect that, I don't know. But I don't expect that I'll hear from them. Maybe really. And I wish them well. They just needed a little tune up.
Yeah.
Right. They don't stay there as long.
And I think that's okay. I mean, in a lot of arenas, there's such a thing as a check-in or a tune-up or a one-off, right? Where it's like, I just need to come back in and let's look at this one thing.
They started to catastrophize, but that's when you've done the work, you quickly move out of it.
Yeah.
Like I would with you, and you said that one. I'm like, okay, out. You name it, claim it, dump it. It's name, claim, dump. You name it, you claim it. This is what it is. You dump it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to dump by talking with you or processing, and then I can dump it. And that's what they did. They named it. They claimed this is what it is, and they were able to dump it, and off you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So what if nothing has gone wrong in your life?
Go back to that other section, because I think that other section is an episode to itself, right? The influence of social media, right?
Yeah.
If you think about the amount of time in a day that we spend being influenced by that, right? And you're talking about clients that have issues with anxiety and perfection and all the things.
People pleasing.
Right?
Right.
And you and I have said this before. I've said it before to other people. Like what we see out there is so fake, right?
Yeah.
Like nobody walks through life with studio lighting all over them and fun little music in the background and a perfect little outfit and a big smile. That looks cool on YouTube or wherever else you're watching it.
Right.
But it's like take 10 to get that one shot that lasts 20 seconds.
Exactly.
That's what you see. You have to remember that is like about as fake as you could possibly get. Right. So don't let that be such a big influencer. But I think with the people you're talking about that struggle with anxiety and certain skills that they're like, ooh, and they see that like, ooh, talking about a couple steps backwards.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. Like you got me. Okay. Me doing this with social media since 2020, really going like, how many days a week? And I just recently I've started to post like only like three days a week on TikTok and Instagram. But I was doing 5 days a week since 2020,
Ooh.
and I'm getting tired of it. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. It gets old. I'm getting tired of it. And I don't have a huge following, and I'm like, what am I doing? I mean, I'm getting tired. I'm old. I'm getting old.
Who's to say?
And it's not like in TikTok, like I just did post yesterday and there's 0 views, 0 likes. And I don't care about really likes that much, but I'm like, well, why am I doing this? Because I have to I was telling the women, this networking group, this women entrepreneurial group I'm in, I'm like, what am I going to do this summer? I'm like, I'm going to do my reels for TikTok and or Instagram, and I'm not changing my shirt. I'm going to do the whole week. I'm going to get the same shirt on all week, and everybody's laughing. Because it's like everybody feels the same, especially entrepreneurs and people who, use social media for their business.
That's funny.
Yeah, but it's like it has been a thing. Like you have to put makeup on, you have to look decent, and you look at yourself in the mirror and in the stupid camera and the ring light. You get the ring light on. You're like, oh my god, I look really bad. Do I look this bad? And I know everybody thought this way during COVID when we all went on Zoom, and the plastic surgeons said their rates and their businesses skyrocketed because people saw themselves. We're not used to looking at ourselves as much. I totally me. Like on YouTube, when I see my turkey neck, I'm like, oh my god, I didn't think I had look at this turkey neck, and then I'm at the place now in the past 6 months. Why are you looking at me like that?
I'm just thinking maybe that was the one thing.
It's true though.
Maybe COVID had it right. Put a mask on, right? Like maybe not you. I'm just saying in general. Like
rude. put a mask on and cover your neck while you're at it. Stop. That's rude.
Talking about you. I'm just saying in general, like we walked around with masks on for a year and didn't see anything. I know
it's funny because I know people told me they liked that.
Yeah, right?
Well, people did like it. People who were dealing with self-image and body image and self-esteem, which is is sad. did like the mask on because it covered their face. I didn't feel that way.
Yeah.
But for
Anyways.
me, it's you seeing yourself on social media and seeing myself on YouTube. And I'm like, even like now, I got menopausal hair. I don't, and people will say things. I mean, I'm posting about mental health and personal development issues on
Yeah.
social media. I've told, and people have been like, your hair looks like crap. That shirt is ugly. Like,
What?
remember people like ripping on like my office, like what my office looks like. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm here to talk about mental health. I'm here to talk about personal development and give you a coaching tip. Like, this is like really gold. I'm giving you nuggets of gold that I give to my clients who pay me privately. And I'm giving you, and people are like, I don't care. Your office is ugly. Like, that is outdated. Like the bikes I have, my cute little bikes from whatever. People like rip on them. Like, that's outdated. But people really do rip on how I look. And yes, I have split ends, whatever. It's menopause. I don't care anymore. I'm getting to the place where I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Anyways, but social media, yeah, you could do an episode on it. And I think, yeah, I mean, you have to spend less and less time on it. And there's no other way. I mean, we could do an episode, or I could just say this. You just have to spend less time on it. And so I don't follow, because I can get into, I noticed in 2020, since everybody in the coaching and therapy spaces seem to be on social media, I don't follow coaches. I don't follow other therapists. I do follow some. Some have just such great, they give out great wisdom. They're just wise and they're astute. I listen to them and I'm interested in what they say. And it's not that I'm not interested in other therapists and other coaches. I just feel like I'm at work all the time. I feel like if I'm listening to them, I'm always in a group consultation meeting. I'm always in a group staff meeting. It's too much for me. It's too much. I don't want to listen. I don't want to air quote talk shop all day long on social media. So I do not follow people so much in my profession, but I follow people who like to dance. I like farm animals. I like horses. That brings me pleasure. Yes, are dopamine hits. But I find that we all need to just spend less and less time, even on the things that we enjoy, and I know it's a huge problem. I say it all the time. I know you guys all push back on me. We got to get off our phones at night. Got to get off your phones at night. You could be having sex. You could be reading. You could be doing something else other than being on your phone at 10 o'clock at night before you go to bed. I think that's the number one thing I see, and everybody pushes back on me.
Yeah.
Well, not everybody, but 90% of people.
Yeah.
Because we've all I think it was a big mistake bringing those phones into our bedrooms. And I'm talking from a couples therapist perspective, but also just mental health. I don't think it's good for us. So that's my whole spiel or rant a little bit about social media. I mean, and I don't think it's good for any of this, for the compare and despair that we all do, right?
It's not. And it's like we said last week, like you're fighting.
You have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. You have no idea that person who says they've dealt with their anxiety and that's because they drank this green juice, I call bullshit on that. And you have no idea. They're probably, and good for them. They're probably maybe they're not doing as well as you. Yeah. And I don't want that for them. And do not compare yourself to them. You have no idea about their story. And most of you I know this, but it bears repeating.
Yeah.
It's worth repeating.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's move on. So what if like you're at this place and this is what I see, and you're thinking to yourself, but you're saying, but Anna, like nothing has gone wrong in my life. Like really nothing has gone wrong. I mean, this is the question that I often ask clients when they come to me, with something that's, like, why am I here again? Like, why? Like, okay, well, what if nothing has gone wrong? Answer that for yourself. What if there is no evidence that you're a broken person or that you're broken right now? What if what's happening right now is not proof that you're back at square one? What if this is simply life's just happening right now? Sometimes it's that life is just happening. You're in a stressful season. Like that one client who, when we started to unpack all that's going on, she didn't even know she was triggered. And we started to unpack all that's happening in her life. I'm like, do you see? She's like, oh yeah, I didn't realize. Now that I say it out loud to you, Anna, and you put it that way. Yeah. I'm like, you have a lot going on. I would want to be dealing with what you're dealing with right now. That's a stressful season. The example of the mom who has got to get to work and dropping her kid off at camp, it's like a whole thing now because he's really struggling with transitions.
Yeah.
Maybe you're just in a challenge in your life. Maybe you have an old wound that got activated, and you weren't even fully conscious of that old wound getting activated. You just know that you're really feeling very low energy these days, and you don't know why. And that's, what we talk about. Okay, there's an old wound there. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's actually, yeah, I am thinking about it in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
I have been, yeah, I have been. I haven't told anybody about it because, I'm still doing my life, but I'm really just low, feeling low key, kind of depressed, but just low energy. You're not failing. You're experiencing all of us, because we're all alive. We're all alive in this existence. So, I would say to all of you, I would propose to all of you, what is the real goal here? What's the real goal? I think that maybe we've misunderstood the goal for ourselves. The goal, the goal is not to never feel anxious again. That's not possible. The goal is to know what to do when anxiety shows up for you. When anxiety shows up, you know what to do. So the goal isn't to never get triggered. It's to just, okay, I'm going to recover more quickly this time. I've got the skills. I'm going to pull them in. I'm going to do them. And it doesn't mean I'm not going to get triggered. I'm not going to get upset, but I'll remember them. I will be there. But rather than it being like this last 3 days, it's going to be a day, and I'm going to do the skills that I've learned, and I'm going to come out of this. I'm going to talk back to myself. Am I mind reading here? Am I catastrophizing? Am I filtering? Am I remembering like all that's staying in the filter, the colander is all the shit, but all the good stuff that's coming out, like the pasta water that's going down the drain. That's all the good stuff of my life. Yeah, I am filtering.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So sometimes we just need that reminder, and then it's like, all right, I can do a reset. The goal isn't to become immune to difficult emotions. You're going to have difficult emotions because we have relationships with other humans, and they are complicated and they are difficult, many of them in our lives. The goal is to try to build a healthier relationship, first with yourself and then maybe with them, right? That's emotional resilience. That's emotional resilience. Okay. So here are some questions for reflection. All right. Here are your power moves. Here's your takeaways from this episode. So if you've been telling yourself, why am I back here? I should be over this by now. I've done this work. I want you to ask yourself, compared to when? Compared to when? How would the old version of you have handled this? That might help you out. Ask yourself, am I expecting perfection? Would I hold someone I love to the same standard? Ask yourself, okay, what's happening in my life right now? Have I considered the context? Put your life in context right now, like I did with my client. What stress is going on for you right now? What demands are here right now in this season of your life? Are you in some kind of transition? What transitions are happening? And I also would have you ask yourself, am I measuring progress accurately? Or only am I noticing when I struggle? Am I measuring progress accurately? Okay. Widen the lens. So here's what I want you to remember with this episode. You do not fail because you got triggered again. That's not failure. I mean, I hope that you all know that. You don't fail because anxiety came back. You don't fail emotional resilience because you had a hard week. We all have hard weeks, every single one of us. We're just not all talking about it to each other. The goal was never to become somebody who never struggles. It was never the goal. The goal was to become someone who knows how to navigate the struggle differently than how you would have done it maybe 3 years ago. Okay. And if you're doing that, even imperfectly, if you're doing that, you may be much further along than you actually think you are. Right. Maybe the question isn't, why am I still dealing with this? But maybe the better question is, how am I dealing with this differently than I used to?
Right.
Okay. That's where you're going to find evidence of your growth. So always look for the evidence. Either way, look for the evidence. Look for the evidence of your negative thoughts. Look for the evidence of all the bad stuff. You're going to find that there's very little. 95% of you that I work with, when we do this work, it's like, yeah, there's some things, but there's not a lot. And look for the evidence of your growth. Look for the evidence of the positives. And I don't mean toxically positive, really the positives and the good things in your life. Look for the evidence and and take those situations that are causing you to be anxious and causing you to be down, and look for the evidence of all the stuff that's going on that you think is going on wrong.
Yeah.
I can't say it enough, and I'm repeating it again right now. There may be some, but you will find that it's only 20%, 80%. There's no evidence of it. Okay.
I like it.
All right, everyone. This is a little bit of a shorter episode because Tim told me I had to talk quickly today.
Stop
And
it.
we had to make our episodes shorter because he has to get to work.
Okay.
It's true. All right, everyone. I hope that you have a great week. Mad love to all of you. Thanks again for listening and for watching. As always, don't forget to rate and review the podcast. Thank you for sharing the episode with others. Makes all the difference. All right, until next time.